Hello, and welcome to Off the Field and Screens, the Detroit Way, a Detroit sports podcast. I'm your host, Chad Marriott, and this week I want to talk about ceilings and floors for the various teams in Detroit. We're mostly going to focus on the teams that are playing right now. I think the Lions have the highest ceiling and the highest floor. The Pistons have a high ceiling and are raising their floor. The Tigers might have the biggest variance in terms of the difference, as we saw this season. That's about all I'm going to get into that right now, and because they were the best team in baseball, and then they looked like one of the worst teams in baseball. And it was for two consistent stretches, first half, second half. And the Red Wings have a large variance as well. It just might not be as consistently high of a ceiling. They've kind of touched that a little bit. I don't know if that's really where that's at. But they don't have as high of a ceiling yet. All right, so let's look at the Lions. They won 44-22 over the Commanders. That looked a lot like another day at the office for them. Getting back to kind of that more dominant brand of football. Jared Goff is Mr. Consistent in terms of like looking at a ceiling and a floor. He is like the epitome of somebody that, he's not going to fall below here. He's not going to get above here, but he's going to kind of live in this area as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And I know Jahmyr Gibbs has been a star his whole time in the NFL. But the ceiling keeps going up. He just keeps getting better and better. And this week's 3 touchdowns, I think it was like 170 total yards. And, every time they put up a graphic of him during the game, it's like, it's these legends, Hall of Famers that he's on lists with. So it's really, really just an constant upward trajectory for him. The biggest thing for the Lions, and I do think it's changed this year, because they have the most talent of any team in Detroit, but their floor has definitely lowered. Last season, the worst they played was still pretty darn good. This year we've seen a few stinkers against Green Bay, against Minnesota, where they've been a lot less consistent. And the biggest change is in the offensive line. I know that it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but yeah, the offensive line, when they're going, this team goes. When they struggle, this team struggles. Because the Lions, every game they've won this year, over 100 rushing yards. Every game they've lost, under 100 rushing yards. So that is a pretty big determining factor, and why that is their ability to set up the run game allows for Jared Goff to get into more comfortable situations. When they have to drop him back a lot to pass, and defenses can really start pass rushing, it's that puts him in a difficult spot because that's not his skill set. Getting him in the pocket in play action and not obvious passing situations, even if he's throwing, really makes him elite. And it looks like they're back on track, but I've said that a few times this year. Against Baltimore or Chicago, it looked like, yeah, here they come. Or even that win against Tampa Bay, they look pretty dominant. But then they've, again, kind of teetered. So really what we'll need to see is how do they play against Philadelphia next Sunday on Sunday Night Football. But I still think the highest ceiling, because this is the only team that I think this year is on track to win, that could contend for a title. But going to the Pistons, I'm not going to say they're title contenders yet, but they have shown that they have really raised their ceiling. And they're off to their best start since 2005-2006, which that team started 37-5. I don't know if they're going to be able to match that. But the reason they've been able to really raise their ceiling is because of the improved play and taking of the next step of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and Asar Thompson. Each of them has really risen their level of play. Cade, 25.5 points, 9.8 assists, and the ability to take over a game. He's really shown that when he wants to win, it's over. Against Philadelphia, kind of one of the cooler things I've seen happen in a while in all of Detroit sports was Kelly Oubre Jr. was talking a lot of trash to Cade Cunningham, and he just said, okay, let's do this. And the Pistons got back in the game and won the game behind Cade's play. So having a player like that, it just changes like the ceiling by a lot, and it really lifts up the floor. Jalen Duren's having a career year, averaging a double-double, 19.5, 11.8 rebounds. And Asar Thompson averaging nearly 14 points, 6.5, a little over 6.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists. But his big contribution is being able to play as that second primary ball handler, which everybody was worried about. Ivy's hurt and losing Dennis Schroeder, but Asar Thompson has been able to take on that role alongside being the team's top perimeter defender, taking on that challenge of whoever the opposition's best offensive wing is. Seeing him match up with Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, just all over the board in the NBA. And then, additionally, I think they've raised their floor with the consistent play of Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, and Javonte Green. Because they were able to they didn't do a one-for-one replacement of Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, and Schroeder. They found ways to replace that in the aggregate. Defensively, I think they improved, because Beasley was a bad defensive player. And I don't think it was skill. I think the awareness on the court, and he got beat on one dribble a lot, which you just can't do, even if you're not a good defender. And Duncan Robinson has really found ways to not get beat on one dribble. That Karis LeVert is another ball handler, and the one thing he has over, I think, all three guys that the Pistons lost this year is Karis LeVert can go get a bucket. Schroeder was good, but he could go get a jump shot. LeVert can get bucket, three, a pull up mid range, can get to the basket, get to the free throw line. He's a very diverse scorer. Robinson is every bit as good from shooting beyond the arc, but he does a lot more. He moves without the ball really well. He's a really good passer. He positions himself really well. And that Javonte Green has kind of been the quietly awesome pickup this year. He's a really good defensive player. He gets in on rebounds. He gets up and down the court, gets himself in the ball. He moves without the ball really well. A little bit of trouble finishing around the rim on occasion, but he's been a really, really good pickup, especially with all these injuries. It's been massive. And I think that level of improved defense, improved shot selection, improved ball, movement off the ball from the players they lost, these veterans have come in and raised that floor with the way that they contribute to the game. One little thing, I saw they added Wendell Moore Jr. to a two-way contract today, and I figure that's because of some of the injuries and the prolonged absence of Marcus Sasser and possibly Jaden Ivey, and Asar played in that game, but he had that ankle roll. You just want to have some insurance for somebody that can handle the ball and play some good perimeter defense, not to put any of the two-way players in a position to fail. And I think when he was with the team last year, he's not going to be all-world superstar, but he could come in and in some spot minutes, as he showed last year for the Pistons, and get the job done. He's a good defensive player, so I like the I like the addition. I was sorry to see him get cut last season for it was Lindy Waters, I think, who's a very one-dimensional player, just shoots threes, which are the worst players in the NBA in terms of value. If you only can shoot threes and you're having an off night, it's like playing 5-on-4. Cade Cunningham, Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and he is the best Piston since Isaiah Thomas. I have no problem saying that. He's the biggest game changer in franchise history aside from Isaiah Thomas. Some might say Grant Hill, but Grant Hill came to Detroit just a few years removed from the Bad Boys and had a team and a franchise with a legacy. So they were just a few years removed from a title. I think 5 seasons. It was almost 20 years when Cade came in, and they were a mess. One of the worst franchises in pro sports. Not just the NBA, pro sports. The Pistons were an absolute wreck, and he's found a way and stuck through the hard times and got them back to where they need to be. He signed an extension when they were at their lowest point. I mean, that's a big thing for me, and I think for a lot of fans in Detroit, that when things were at their toughest, he committed to be long-term member of the team rather than jump ship. That's a big thing. When Ivy gets back, look out for this Pistons team. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, trade Ivy. You're going to sound like as big of a moron as all the people that said that about Jalen Duren, and look what he's doing now. Ivy is going to be that big of a contributor as well. The 40% from the three-point line, he might not hit 40%, but he's going to be in that upper 30s. He's a good ball handler. He's a great change of pace, which is something this team could really use when he gets back. They don't need that guy. They don't need to make a big trade and get another big name. They have that guy. They have Cade. Duren and Thompson are evolving into, solid second and third best players. And then Ivy gets back, and he's also capable of being a second, third best player on a title-winning team. So they're going to do this by having a lot of depth and a lot of talented players, rather than just 2 great players. So I think, that's probably your second highest of the teams playing right now. And then the Red Wings have shown the widest variance of teams playing right now. When their bottom 6 forwards contribute, they're a tough team to beat. That stretch when that third and fourth line were playing really well, that's what really elevated that team's floor. It's always the depth that can do that for you. And the ceiling has to be raised by your top talent. And I think they've kind of reached where they can with that top 6 for now. They don't have the elite goal scorer or playmaker that can cover for team-wide droughts. Like, just to touch back, because I think it's probably the most comparable sport of the 4. When the Pistons struggle, they always have Cade Cunningham. And you look across the NHL, with a lot of teams have that guy that can just say, hey, we're going to go win this game now. The Red Wings don't have that player. Maybe one of them could be. Lucas Raymond has shown flashes of being capable of doing that, but I don't think they have really that top tier go win a game for us player. They have to do it as a group. They've lost after starting 8-3. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They have 2 goals in the last 3 games. And I wrote an article on the website offthefieldandScreen.com. Check it out. About why they could sustain the early season success, and a little bit of egg on my face, because I thought that the strength of their special teams, the massively improved penalty kill, and the solid power play, and then they were winning a lot of face-offs, they were winning a lot of puck battles, and they just weren't doing that as much in this last little stretch here. Those have really dropped off. I mean, yesterday in particular, they couldn't score on the power play, and they gave up 3 power play goals to Chicago. It's weird because they're capable of looking like one of the worst teams in the league and one of the best teams. So it's very odd because they have the talent, but I think really the thing to really evaluate this is it's part of sticking with a youth movement and moving towards young players is things are going to get tough sometimes. Um, and that gets really hard when you don't have the veterans to back that up. Because you need those players, you need your Andrew Kopps, your Michael Rasmussens, your JT Compers to come in and play really well and make bigger contributions than they have, so that when the young players struggle or when the team is struggling, it's not incumbent upon one of the rookies or one of the second or third year players to come in and save the day. And I heard McClellan in the post game press conference talking about, yeah, we're going to get a look at some of these young guys and see how they're doing so we can make decisions on other players. And I think it's starting to get overdue as an organization that some of these hangers on and some of these overpaid players need to be out of the lineup more consistently or off the team. And that sucks. I hate to see somebody lose their living, but at some point, the veterans got to be able to support the young players as they're on this upward trajectory, because that's what's going to affect the drop off, the floor of this team falling out. The young players and these really talented players like that, which is all the young players, can raise the ceiling when they play really well, but the floor is going to be about your Andrew Kopps, your JT Compers, and your Michael Rasmussens, your Elmer Soderbloms. Those players have to play better to keep this team from really falling apart. Now, there's still a lot of positives in their recent games, but yeah, I'd say the variance there is the widest of any team playing, but not nearly as wide as the Tigers, because that was wild. I've never seen quite as large difference in one season as I saw from them this season. I said season like 6 times in maybe 8 words. All right, so that is, I think, the state of sports in Detroit, those 4 teams in terms of floors and ceilings. I think we have a wild card in the Tigers, still trying to figure out who they are in the Red Wings. And the Pistons and the Lions are Super Bowl contenders, and the Pistons are trying to find their way into being Eastern Conference NBA, trying to get to that next step in the playoffs. That's where they're at. And like I said, they're moving up in both. And this has been the Detroit Way. Please like, subscribe, follow. Check out the articles on offthefieldandscreen.com. Got a new Lions article up, and there'll be some more Pistons and Red Wings material coming soon. And hopefully, if the Tigers offseason gets underway, there'll be material about that too. Thank you for listening. Have a great week.